Hello, hi, good afternoon, internet friends. I'm Michael. I work here at Launch, and today I'm going to talk to you all about GA4. In fact, most specifically, the talk that we did at our Bristol event just last week, all around acquiring new customers, a CMO's guide, in fact. But first and foremost, something a bit more important than that, what have I been doing? Uh, in the last 6 months, very happy to report that my wife and I bought our first house. We are finally, officially, first time buyers. And it's nice to be on the property ladder, but due to the ordeal we had in buying the house, I hope it's more of a property step ladder, I suppose, to give you a bit of a visual there. I'm thinking something like this step ladder, in fact. And I mean, because data is more than just a career, it's a way of life. Before I'd finished all the repainting, I took it upon myself to create a Looker Studio report, which is automated and updates after every repayment we make on our mortgage, just to see how much more we've got to go, which I can't tell if it's depressing or motivational. So I'll keep pondering that thought. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Are you ready for GA4? I'd ask you to raise your hands, but sadly I can't see you. So I'm hoping you are, but there might be a mix of those who are and who aren't. But regardless of that, I don't think Google themselves are ready for GA4 yet. Bless the Google Analytics social media staff, because anytime they post, it does seem like they get lots of people in their comments complaining about things, and some of them I don't think are really justified, but some of them are, I think. And in fact, I did a webinar at the end of last year where in the breakout room afterwards, we were talking about GA4 and, pros and cons, and we came to the conclusion that we suspect that there's a few teams working on GA4 and not quite speaking to each other, because there are still a few weird quirks. Even, at this point, we're only around, in fact, time's flying. It's only about 3 months until Universal Analytics stops recording data. So one of the things, I guess, one of the common complaints that I see online is that where Universal Analytics seemed more to be written for humans in nice readable language, GA4, in fact, this was a quote I heard from someone, seems like it was more written for computers. There are lots of things written in what's called snake case, so all lowercase with underscores instead of spaces. So I guess as a beginner looking at GA4, one of the things to get to grips with is that it's not as easily readable as it used to be, and that will take an initial adjustment. You've also got some really strange things that happen, particularly when making explorations, which are your own, the reports you build yourself. So there's a few annoying quirks and features going on here. So let's say you want to make an acquisition report and you want to look at traffic source and medium, just as you would in Universal Analytics. If you type in source medium when you search for the dimension, with no space in between that /, it will give you the standard source medium for acquisition and also the session scoped source medium. However, it won't give you the first user source medium, because that requires you to have a space either side of the /. And for some reason, it won't detect what you're on about. You have to specify it that specifically in order for it to show up. So it's a really easy pitfall that continues to catch me out. So I can only imagine it's catching other people out in the same way as well. Similarly, you might have scroll depth tracking on your website, and you might want to analyze how far people are making it down a particular key page. If you wanted to see the percent scrolled, you might start off by searching for the word percent, and nothing will come up. And that's because for some reason, there is a space in between per and cent. And again, unless you specify that, it won't show up. Another one I saw the other day, in fact, is if you want to look at any e-commerce dimensions and metrics. Some of them are the word e-commerce, all in one, and some of them are e-commerce. And again, unless you specify, it won't show up. So A bit of a minor annoyance. Hopefully, it all gets standardized and fixed, or at least a bit clever in the near future. So, without me going on about all the pitfalls all day, to give you another brilliant visual metaphor, there's a bit of a steep learning curve, and I think the learning curve is going to be even steeper for those who have used Universal Analytics for years and years, because even though Google initially positioned it as an upgrade to Google Analytics, it really is a different platform. And I think, realistically, it's just the color scheme that binds the two together, really. So anyway, that's, complaints about GA4 out the way. The whole main theme of this talk, if you like, is targeting new customers. And to do that, first, I need to clear up a bit of a historical misconception, I suppose. You could say, Michael from Launch, you maniac. Analytics isn't a platform for targeting new customers. There's no acquisition going on. That's the job of your ads platforms to do. The analytics part is measuring everything after the fact, How many sales did we get in February? What quality were our leads in February, say? But actually, that's not entirely true. And to illustrate what I mean, I'm going to take you all on holiday to Ibiza. Well, I mean, holiday is a bit of a strong term. Really, what we're going to be doing is working in Ibiza. But in fact, I've never been to Ibiza. I'm not entirely sure whether this is a picture of Ibiza. I'm putting a lot of faith in the royalty-free image search engine here. But let's give myself the benefit of the doubt and say this is Ibiza. Lots of nightlife, lots of people walking around looking to go have some dinner or a few drinks or have a little dance maybe. So you've got a strip of bars, clubs, trendy places that people like to go. And we are going to buy one of these and run it and try and make a profit. So what we're going to do, as many of the other bars do on the strip, is they're going to have reps. We're going to employ this chap here. This chap, I've named him Marco, and I'll refer to him as Marco. From here on out, we're going to employ him to stand outside the bar with a fistful of vouchers for 2-for-1 cocktails. And we're going to want Marco to go up and engage people, chat with them, be really friendly, get them to come into our bar, start spending money, and of course, generate revenue for ourselves. So, of course, in this metaphor that I'm setting up here, Marco is, of course, your ads platforms, be it Google, Microsoft, Pinterest, TikTok, Facebook, anything you like. And the bar is the website. So let's head in to our bar, to our website, and see what's going on. Well, it looks like Marco's been doing a great job because there's loads of people here and it all looks like they're having a great time. The only trouble is, though, is that whilst we have lots of people here, it looks like most of them have not yet spent their voucher for 2-for-1 cocktails, which isn't ideal, of course, because whilst we're viewing these people as our customers, they don't become customers until they actually do something of value, whether they make a transaction, they give us some money, or, in the example of a lead gen business, they enter their details there for us to, follow up on and nurture, say. So let's say the night progresses and actually it's just this chap here that goes to the bar and gets a drink, which, is great, but ideally we'd like more people to do that. But unfortunately, they've all left without spending their money. So, oh, crumbs, I've gone back. Bear with me. So, going back to the initial metaphor there, you have got Marco, the ads platforms. If we wanted more people to come to our bar, our website, and generate more revenue, what we could do is perhaps hire another Marco or make Marco work overtime and pay him some extra to not only stand outside the bar at night time, but maybe in the daytime he could hang around outside the airport where, you might get a few people interested, but potentially they're, for the most part, just, a bit tired from their flight, a bit dehydrated, just looking forward to getting to their hotel room before they start thinking about their evening. So instead of that, maybe we could look at all those people that have entered our bar but haven't bought anything and then left. That's, the easiest and biggest source of high intent users that we could look to understand and try and convert there. So this is where analytics comes in, and this would be the staff that work inside the bar, say, to continue the metaphor, if you like. If we can ask them what to look out for and then feed back on what the customers are, what is preventing them from buying, what are they not liking, what is changing their mind about buying where, they came to us initially thinking that they would. And, back to the real world, talking about websites and acquisition, certainly this would start a conversation about conversion rate optimization or even full conversion optimization. But you can also look and segment all of these users, look at their commonalities, and then try and tailor your remarketing activity to either help them on their journey or reassure them about something which is potentially putting them off and is a common theme. So, at the heart of all of this, and ever increasingly so, is that data it's always been important, but it's becoming more and more important, especially when you think about all the machine learning platforms that are now being intertwined with all of these ads and analytics systems. So, admittedly, these slides were a bit of an audience interaction point. We're going to play a game, not a great game, I must admit. But basically, I'm going to run through it myself. I'm going to have all the fun today, so bear with me. Just, maybe let me have my moment of fun. But the game went like this. So, big object on the screen. Have to say, what is it? What does it do? And what color is it? Really basic game. We're not talking Breath of the Wild here. It's, it's a little bit preschool. Never mind. It does lead to a point at the end, I promise. So, this object, it's a hammer, and it hits things, and it's silver. And this is a fire extinguisher, which puts out fires, and it's red. And this is a carrot. You eat it. It's a food. It sustains people, and it's orange. We could carry on like this for a long time, so I'm just going to skip through these objects for you. But basically, what I'm getting at, what I'm leading to, is that all of this data is nice, and we're collecting it, and we're compiling it. And we're now able to analyze this data all about these objects, which is great. I love data. I'm never going to turn down a bit of data. Love a bit of data, me. However, if we're looking at these stats here, we can see, the types of items that we've just viewed and the colors of everything that we've just viewed. But when it comes to making business decisions, really big business decisions which affect the bottom line, if higher ups, the powers that be, came to me and said, right, out of all those items, which one has the biggest profit margin? Which of those has a promotion running currently? Which is the most popular? Which is the least popular? We wouldn't be able to tell that from just this basic information. So the format that I use for the game, of course, what I'm looking to illustrate there is the very well-known, very well-ingrained format for event tracking in Universal Analytics. I told you there was a point. So the traditional event category, event action, and event label, of course, which again is a big hurdle with GA4 because for those of us that have been in the industry for many years now, that is so ingrained into us, it's hard to move away from. Every tracked interaction, particularly tailored interactions, would always follow this 1, 2, 3 hierarchical structure. It's like 3 is the magic number. However, with GA4, there is a lot more you can do here. And granted, you could tailor your Universal Analytics to do things like this, but there were limits to that. And with GA4, the limits and the thresholds were a lot higher, and you are actively encouraged to tailor your setup and make the most out of all of this event tracking. So in the example of the spoon here, we're not just saying it's a silver spoon and it's part of the cutlery family, but we're giving standard e-commerce things that GA4 recognizes right out of the box, like the item name and the variant and the SKU. But then we can add some custom things which will really not only provide us tailored business insights about that, but also again will help feed that machine learning and will eventually lead to really powerful audiences you can use to target, and also powerful understandings and segments you can make to really tailor and understand your user experiences going on the website. I just mentioned powerful audiences there, and these are some of the the heavy hitters, the really sought after, popular ones that everyone wants to get their hands on when they use GA4. Lifetime value is really, there's a few ways of doing it in GA4, but it's really powerful, particularly for marketers, say. We're so used to looking, particularly in e-commerce, where, we're driving purchases via ad clicks, and how much revenue did that ad click generate? What was our return on our ad spend? But how much better would it be to see, right, we've used ads to attract a new user who has clicked an ad, and that was 18 months ago. And since then, they spent £2,000 on the website. That was all attributed to an ad click, which was just £11. Now, that sounds a lot more compelling to anyone involved in the financials there, and might just help you secure some additional budget for your next month, quarter, or year, of course. Now, predictive audiences are also really interesting as well, and that's really where this machine learning aspect comes in. Targeting and tailoring to people who are most likely looking to spend on your website in the next 7 days, and by contrast, those that are least likely to spend on your website in the next 7 days. That can be particularly powerful for driving additional results and cutting out those wasted clicks, of course. And then, of course, there's behavioral audiences. Again, basic behavioral audiences are nothing new, but where you're tailoring your setup, not just to capture additional things at event level each time there's an interaction, but if you can bind parameters to a user property, as they're called in GA4, this can also lead to some more, again, specific behavior insights to whatever your website is trying to push, be it purchases, leads, or it's content based. You can all start to generate personas based off of activity on your website being tracked. So this all sounds very good, but you might be thinking, well, that's brilliant, but how do we get all of this in place? What we're used to is just in the old universal analytics days, even before cookie compliance, the e-privacy directive, and such things, used to just get one script, tell our developer to put it on every page, and away we go. It just did its thing. But no, that's those days are long gone, and it's a good thing too, because tailoring the setup is really what's going to provide you value here. So there's two schools of thought, or two main methods of getting this set up. And that would either be by going through Google Tag Manager in the hands of someone capable with Google Tag Manager, or by going direct to your developer to get hard-coded code put on your site. And that will be in the case if you don't have Google Tag Manager there or someone to run that for you. It's a bit of a misconception, really, and it's a theme that keeps coming up, is that it's positioned as tag managers versus developers. In fact, this is a recreation of a diagram I saw recently on a cookie compliance webinar, which makes the developers look like they're out of the job here when there's a tag manager involved. And I can kind of see where that comes from. So in the eyes of someone who's good at tag manager, they might think, well, the way that developers install things is far too rigid. And of course, if we want to amend tracking or update tracking in the future, then the client is going to be given two bills, one for our time and also for the developer to then go in and add the code that we need, which is fair enough, I suppose, particularly for those running with a tight budget. From the developer side, I can totally see the argument as well, where they're used to putting code on a page where they can see it. Everything is then findable and observable, whereas someone in Tag Manager, particularly if they're not so capable or potentially not such a safe pair of hands, say, they could go into Tag Manager and put some new code live on the website, and not only would that be hard to detect, but that could have devastating consequences. It could break the whole front end in extreme cases, and of course developers would follow a strict sprint structure perhaps, or go to a test website first and then go to the live website to mitigate risk there. Whereas a tag manager can just put code straight on the live site and without as much as a notification to anyone involved. So, there are pros and cons to each side, definitely. But moving forwards, particularly where things are getting more technical, the key is actually going to be having your tag managers and your marketers and your analysts working hand in hand, again, lovely visual metaphor for you here, with the developers, because Tag Manager, whilst it is very versatile, it does have its limits. And in order to make things work well and extra granular and extra tailored, you can add further JavaScript to the website via a developer to then help Tag Manager work to an even better extent. So it's important to bear that in mind, to nurture that relationship between the parties involved, or at the very least, partner with an agency that can speak both tag management and developer language. They can act as almost like a translation service, if you will. Particularly if you've got a lot to think about. All this website code, looks difficult. Can I get someone else to handle that? Make sure you're in safe hands. So, to sum up, the move to GA4 presents a great opportunity, particularly with universal analytics, either where, again, giving the example, you just plonk a bit of code on the website, away it goes, and then that's as far as you take it. Similarly, if you like to tailor things and track things, is everything that you're tracking needed to be tracked? Is it just a lot of noise and a lot of that could be cut out? Building a new GA4 property allows you to really take stock of what you're tracking, what you want to track, and how you can use this for your marketing strategy, particularly when it comes to targeting not only new users, but existing users that you want to convert. And similarly, don't settle for the bare minimum. Again, what you can do, similar to Universal Analytics with GA4, is get that GA4 script, the global site tag, or the Google tag, as they're now calling it, put it on every page, and away you go. Just let it do its thing. But again, you're going to get minimal insights. It's all very well knowing, how many referrals you got from a certain site and, how many page views did you get this month. But again, if you want to know things like profit margins and the effects of promotions on your conversion rate, a whole range of things that would be really useful for your decision-making process, that's what you need to focus on. You really need to educate your stakeholders and those that you work with, because this is a great opportunity for you right now. And this applies to past, present, and future. But great data equals great everything. Again, where it's not just humans involved now, but machine learning platforms that assist the humans. When everything is clean and accurate, that can only lead to better and more effective insights. So, if you have enjoyed this talk, even if you haven't enjoyed this talk potentially, but like me, you like a bit of data, you like a bit of measurement, and you'd like to know more things on a similar theme, we do have a measurement guide, which includes lots of things which no doubt will be useful to you. And I'm told about that slide there, that there is a link in the event description below. So feel free to click and have a look there. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. I've been Michael from Launch, and it's been brilliant talking to you all. So thank you very much. Cheers.